Hello and welcome to the Chamber's Business Spotlight Series, episode 16. Today we're here with Rick Taylor, as you can see, sporting that awesome do over there. How are you doing today, Rick?
My haircut. It took 3.5 months, but I'm pretty happy about it.
Yep, I'm right there. I don't have a camera to pull away. This just is how I look right now, unfortunately. So I have to wait till Monday. Anyways, how are you doing?
The Sean Cassidy look there for about months, so.
Yeah. Sean Cassidy, or is that 80s, I feel like?
Oh, no.
That's 70s?
1977 all day long.
All right, 1977. All right, nice. Well, anyways, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Well, we're glad to have you on. Obviously, today we're going to talk about real estate trends moving forward and some other things. But I thought right off the bat we could have you give a little bit of background on yourself and how long you've been in the business, all that good stuff.
So in August will be my 20th year getting into real estate. Paul Freisinger, local to Chelsea, where the CVS is located at. Paul had his real estate business there, and then Reinhart bought it out a little over 20 years ago. And then they moved over right across from where the big rock is, Vets Park, Veterans Park there, where everyone writes happy birthday on the rock. And our office is right across the street where the Village Place condos are at. So yeah, 19th year, love it. And what's kind of weird is the man who got me in the business, I'm now selling his house. So what an honor, to have the broker who brought you into the business, who didn't know anything about real estate, is now asking you almost 20 years later to sell his home. So
that's amazing.
It's the greatest honor as a realtor.
Yeah, that's not so in Chelsea the whole time.
Yeah. And I've never, I used to live in Chelsea. I lived in Chelsea a long time. I raised my son Ricky in Chelsea from the time he was 2. And then I met my lovely wife, who was a teacher in Northville, and I just could not make her drive that hour and 15-minute drive in each way every day. So we split the difference. We live in Superior Township, which is basically north of Dixboro, that M14 23 split. She drives to Chelsea, I drive to Chelsea. She drives to Northville, and so it works out pretty well for us. But yeah, I'm in Chelsea every day.
That's cool. Do you guys plan on staying in that area pretty much forever, or any plans?
No, I think we're going to, come back. Shelly's probably got another 7 years or so before she gets to retire, and then we'll reboot.
Nice.
Come back, yeah.
Well, we'll be glad to have you back for sure.
We'll find a place out on Kavanaugh that's reasonably priced, but I don't know.
I don't know if the words Kavanaugh and reasonable go together most of the time.
I think you're right, but I think all the sellers that are out there love that.
Yeah. No, that's a beautiful lake, though, for sure. Well, that's great. I wanted to also touch on, just while we're on the subject of you and whatnot, I was in the ale house the other day, and there is a big, giant animal on the wall in there. And from what I understand, you get credit for that.
Yeah, there's an elk in there, too. So the elk, it's called the European mount. It's the skull with the antlers.
Okay.
I shot that with a bow and arrow quite a few years ago. And my guide is actually Remy Warren, who is a TV host. He's got a couple of TV shows on the Outdoor Channel. Really neat guy. He guided me on that hunt. And then the caribou, I was in Alaska. I got a Dall sheep and caribou. So that's my third caribou. Caribou is my favorite meat. I have 2 pieces left. One tenderloin has got Guy Sandville's name all over it. So Guy, if you're watching this, I still got one tenderloin with your name on it, my friend. So
nice.
I'll have to get him to come on out for dinner. But yeah, I'm from Canada originally, and hunting is a pretty sacred thing out there. Where I'm from, and I love to fly fish as well. I have friends of mine. And sorry, it's not COVID. We put a bunch of straw down, and I'm having all these sinus problems. So
it's every spring for me, no worries.
But fly fishing, I love it. My favorite movie by far is A River Runs Through It, and
love it.
Just always had an affinity for the outdoors.
Isn't that young Brad Pitt in that one?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good flick, man. I think Robert Redford directed that.
Yeah, Tom Skerritt was awesome in that movie. I loved it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, I can imagine up in Canada, the hunting and fishing is pretty amazing, but at least you're still here in Michigan where we got quite a bit of it ourselves. So.
That's right. Fishing will always be my first love.
Yeah. Yep. I love it too. Well, that's great. Well, hey, let's move on a little bit. I was thinking, Obviously here at some point we can talk about the market conditions and stuff like that. But I was curious, in your personal experience and kind of your ritual, if you will, of getting things ready, what are some of the stuff that you do when you're taking one of these homes and getting it ready to get on the market?
Right. So listing homes, I do more listings than I do representing buyers. And I'm happy to represent buyers. I represent buyers all the time.
Right.
There's a term that was coined to me many, many years ago from a prominent agent in the Chelsea area. And he said to me this, and I was freshly into real estate. He said, if you list, you last. And that really struck me. And I had asked him what he meant by that. And what he said was, you can represent a buyer, drive 20 times at these people, and then they can buy a house at an open house with another agent or get scared. But he goes, if you get the listing, you're guaranteed at least half of the commission. And so anyway, that's kind of been my philosophy. And it's something that I really excel in. I joke about this often, but I do mean it. There are plenty of things in this world I'm really bad at. I'm really bad at a lot of things.
Oh, let's get an example. You can't say that and not throwing out there.
No, I'll leave it at that.
All right.
But one of the things that has taken years to develop is something I'd like to think I'm pretty good at, is listing homes. And not just anyone can list a home, but preparing a home for sale, listing it, acting as a fiduciary to the seller, meaning you're there to be their advocate, to look out for their best interests, think of your paycheck last, put their needs in front of all else. That's something that I take a lot of pride in, and something I take really, really seriously. So for instance, there's a house in Dexter, 7300 Webster Station. We just closed on this house. It was listed previously. It was listed a little too high. I told the seller, there are some things wrong with the house as well. There are, like every house has issues. My house has issues. But, we had to fix a few things. We had to paint a few things. There were a couple light switches that didn't work quite right. Little this, little that. We improved upon the pictures and the remarks. I don't like giving my trade secrets out, but the remarks are really important. You really want to pull people in. People may or may not be from Chelsea, but if they want to move there, they want to be moved. They want a house because all they have to go on, if they're not from here, are what the pictures look like and what the remarks say. So it's a combination of both, and those are things that I work on very, very hard to pull people in. And so 7300 Webster Station, we listed it, $985, and we sold it for $1 million. It is the only house, and still holding up now. It's been over a year since $1 million house is sold in the entire Dexter School District. So the Dexter School District, the eastern boundary is Ann Arbor, western boundary is Chelsea, southern boundary is Manchester, and the northern boundary, is that Whitmore Lake Pinckney area, depending on where you fall into there. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. But it took, Chad Losey is a good friend of mine. He lives out on Kavanaugh. He's a wonderful stager, and I have some spectacular painters that I'm not going to give the name out. And otherwise, if I give the name out of all the people who I trust the most, then they won't have time to do work for my clients. But those kind of things, those are the things that we do to get the houses ready. So not just Webster Station, but everything else. There was a house that we're closing on tomorrow, 687 Pebblestone, I think.
Okay.
Or something like that. And we really push the boundaries on price. I mean, a lot. And it's closing tomorrow, and the seller is just beside himself. A husband and wife, wonderful people. We prepared the house, got it ready, brought in the professional photographer, and sold it in 2 snaps. And today I was talking with him and going over closing numbers and everything else, and he's just happy. And I think, it takes, you have to get yelled at a few times as a realtor when you're starting out before you realize that's no fun. And I don't like getting yelled at, and I don't like people thinking I'm bad at my job. And, very early on in my career, I just did not want to be that guy. I didn't want to be, I said, I can be better than this. And not that I'm always learning, and I think all of us are learning. You're
Sure.
learning in your position. By the way, heck of a job, by the way.
Thank you, Rick.
I mean, but seriously, like how many people get to jump into a profession? Hey, I'll be the new director of the Chelsea Chamber, and bam, you get hit with COVID. And
Yeah, it's about 2 weeks.
your communication has been stellar, and
Thank you.
I give you a lot of credit, and
Yeah.
a lot of credit.
We're
But
working real hard.
Yes, a lot of us in this industry work really hard for our clients, and I'm just another one of them trying to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I did want to jump back a little bit. Now, obviously, you always will use a professional photographer, but you also do some drone shots and stuff yourself, right?
I do, yeah. So I have my FAA certification thingy, license, whatever you want to call it, and but I've been using drones for years. And
Right.
what I like about doing my own drone work, I use Final Cut Pro,
Okay.
and I have copyrighted music, so that's very important because you can't go out with music that's not copyrighted. You get
Right.
in trouble real fast. YouTube will shut you down,
Yeah.
and all kinds of fun stuff. And so I don't want to wait 3 days, 5 days, a week until, because this time of year it's really busy and trying to get any drone company out there to do the work for you. And then they're going to hit you with a $200, whether it's $100, $200, $300 or more. I can take my Phantom Pro,
Right.
and go out there and I can do all my aerial shots, video. I can come back and I can edit my video in 3 hours, be really proud of it and put it out there.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Kingsley on Loch Erin. I do, a lot of lake properties as well.
Sure.
I had this house on the market for 2 months. The people who own this house, the parents are really good friends of ours, like really good friends.
Gotcha.
And they were elderly. They were not that elderly, but they were in their 70s. And the wife was nice. And the husband looked at me and he goes, "Man, all I can tell you is you ain't getting it done." And when you have someone look at you and go, "I don't care how good you think you are. You haven't sold my house. What are you going to do about it?"
Right.
And I remember thinking, the problem we had with this particular house was you couldn't see the lake.
Right.
And so I took my drone and I went, low, like approaching the house with the lake behind it, low on the driveway, this long driveway, scooped over the house and then boom, walked in. And I sold it 3 days after that.
That's crazy.
The person saw the video and went, "Oh my God, I got to go to that place."
Yeah.
And so there is a time and a place for drones. Not always.
Sure.
There's some properties where drones are really not going to work. But if you've got an expansive property, a special property, something that the average person wouldn't be able to see without it, then it can become quite handy.
Yeah. You also used a phrase a little bit ago. You talked about a good friend of yours that said live.kevin does your staging.
Yes.
And I thought maybe you could give a quick synopsis for people of what that really does entail, what staging means to the layman,
Right. So staging can take up there's really the gamut, right? There's part A and then there's part Z. Staging could be something and as realtors, we do a lot of our own staging.
Sure.
So I'll walk into a house and if that house is looking really good, I'll make a few recommendations. And 9 times out of 10, it's declutter. To be honest with you, it's just declutter and less is more. So, so Chad Losey Designs, you can look him up on Facebook. Chad Losey, he can bring in furniture if you need it or if you don't need it. So the pricing of staging can be down here or it can be right up here. And a lot of it's going to depend on whether or not you need to take out furniture or bring furniture in. Or is it a few throw pillows? Is it a couple pieces of art, some flowers, some plants, this, that?
Sure.
Or is it, completely removing everything as far as furniture is concerned and bringing in new stuff? Because again, and it's funny, I had one particular client in Chelsea, a wonderful, wonderful client, but I'm going to leave her name out of it. And she hated it. She hated everything. And we said, "It's not about you."
Right. That's the hardest part.
As a matter of fact, it was Chad and I. We had to kind of corral her in the nicest of ways and say, "Listen, we're trying to sell your house. And your style is not going to work. And we have to bring, and then, once she got the fact that we were trying to help her and that we knew what we were talking about, especially Chad. I mean, Chad's amazing. We sold that house in 48 hours.
Nice.
It was in town. It was one of the highest selling houses ever in Chelsea. And we had 2 backup offers on it. So we had a full price offer with a backup and a backup to a backup. I've never done that before. And,
yeah, that's crazy.
But anyway, so staging works. And there are times where we go into a house, we don't need staging. There are times where it's like, And,
yeah. Like you said, sometimes it's just get stuff out of there. But yeah, that's good to know. That's excellent. It's nice to hear like such a success story on that. And it's so cool that you're using someone right here from Chelsea to help you get that stuff done. That's awesome. Well, thanks for giving us the insight on some of that. Obviously, I know you don't want to give away all your tricks, and that's where people can get a hold of you if they want to learn more about that stuff.
Hold on, I was trying to talk to me.
Oh, sure.
Hi, I'm on a live interview. Yeah, love you. Man, kids. 19.
That's how it goes, man. Like I said, we've had people's dogs jump on their lap, and the kids come in and everything else.
Did you want to talk about the market at all?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let's hear it, man. Where's the market at? What's going on?
This came from the Ann Arbor Board of Realtors here, and I know no one can read that right now, but I'm going to just kind of give you a sense of where we are. So thankfully during the pandemic, realtors were still selling homes, but let's face it, there's a big difference. I've had people who did not want to list until the quarantine was over for obvious reasons, for their safety. And I'm going to digress here. I know five that have gotten this coronavirus. Lucy Ann Lance, the conservative talk show host out of Ann Arbor, wonderful person. I actually sold her house for her in Ann Arbor. Her husband Doyle passed. She got it, he got it, Doyle passed.
She's doing better, thankfully.
Yeah. And I still talk with her, and then I have a client and her boyfriend from Chelsea, but they were in Florida at the time. They both got it. She was on a ventilator for like 8 days, and I mean it was touch and go. And then I have another person, a good friend of mine, who got it, who was gone, came back, and he got it back in March. The doctors are saying that it could take up to 2 years before he gets his full function back. So when a seller, and this is the part, right? A lot of us are so disrespectful to people who are older. You know, I have elderly clients, and they're like, Rick, I know they're doing things. I know you've got the face mask. We can't take any chances. We just won't list our house. And you multiply that by enough people, and this is what you're going to get. So I want to show you. So here's the good news. The good news is, the average, and I'm sorry, forgive me here.
It's all right. You can you
just have to trust me on this one. So the average, this is according to the Ann Arbor Area Board of Realtors. So they pull all the data from all real estate companies.
Right.
Reinhart and everyone. So, so the average single family list price has gone up from $350,000 to $416,000. That's a 19% jump. That's
massive.
Stunning. New condo listings have gone up 28%. The average condo list price has gone from $271,000 to $295,000. That's 8.9%. Single family home sales. Oh, this is
where it's
representative of not being able to sell houses in March, April, and May.
Right.
And we're past. I can't believe we're halfway past June already.
I know. Single
family home sales down 64%. 64%.
Have you ever seen anything like that in 20 years?
No. But here's the good news. We're really busy right now.
Right. That's what I've been hearing.
All that loss, that 64% loss, most of those people are coming out of the woodwork right now. And that's the good news. So if you're a seller and you're thinking, oh my God, he just said 64% down. Well, that's because people were afraid and we were in a lockdown. Well, guess what? We're not in a lockdown the way we were.
Right.
Real estate agents can now sell homes. They can do open houses. We're allowed to show homes. There's a lot of things we're allowed to do now that we couldn't do, which is representative of that number.
Right.
I got better news. And this is the best news. If you're going to look at anything, what is it? The average single family sale price was at $347,547, and it jumped 12% up to $387,000. That's stunning. Absolutely stunning. We also have some low numbers. Condo sales dropped. The condo sale price has dropped only 2.2%. But again, condo sales dropped 62%.
Wow.
And again, when you're not allowed to do something, that's what's going to happen. So we are seeing a big jump in business. I think I have 9 or 10 concurrent deals happening right now, which is good. I went to 2 listing appointments. So people are really starting to kind of say, okay, summer's here, we're in a good time. What I can tell you is the pricing hasn't dropped. We were all holding our breath, bated breath. What's going to happen? Right. What's going to happen? Right. Once we do get back onto the market, is the market going to tank? Is the stock market going to tank? And, obviously the stock market, when you look at it, is volatile. Right. But how's the real estate market? And thank goodness, it's like doing really, really well. That's and I'm good. Not saying that because I'm on this. I'm saying this because it's factually correct. We are licensed through the state of Michigan, so we got to watch what we say. So,
well, and I did hear something that they said potentially the housing market will be the thing that holds the economy afloat to some extent. Maybe holds it afloat is not the right way to put it. Will be a strong driving force in keeping the economy going. Forward.
So I don't normally talk about my own personal home, but what I can tell you is we refinanced our house. We did a 15-year fixed. We did not buy any points. We did not buy points. We did a 15-year fixed for 2.5%, which is just, mind-boggling. 2.5%. They are out there. If you need recommendations for a good lender, I can easily make those recommendations for people who are looking. Same thing with, painters, contractors, people in different facets. If you have a house and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to kind of sell. I'm one thing I never really talk about in all the interviews I've ever done, and it's this. I have so many sellers that'll call me and they'll say, hey, our house is such a wreck. Come on over. I get there, it's not bad at all. I'm like, you're good to go. And so I think, calling your favorite realtor, whether it's me or someone else, but call your realtor and have them come out, preferably. And I'll give you an honest assessment of what
where you're at.
May not need to do. I think, but it's that fear factor. People are afraid, and when you're afraid, you have a tendency to sit on your hands.
Procrastinate.
I'd say I'm a big fan of. I'd rather you get the information you need, and then make your decision.
Sure. Yeah. So when looking at that market, is basically what I'm grasping from it is, okay, so house sales, house listings were incredibly low for the last 3 months, down 64%, but now the market's moving in another direction. Does that mean, in traditional terms, would you say that we're in a seller's market now, a buyer's market?
Oh, it's still a seller's market by far. Okay. And it literally, I would say, the fact that the average list price has gone up 19%. Good real estate year, the standard, the national standard is 3 to 5%. If you're appreciating every year, this is 19% right there.
Yeah, I see that.
That is stunning. And the average, but the sale price, so 19% is the list price, but the actual sale price is 12%. 12% in 1 year? Holy moly. But sooner or later, that number is going to change. Now, I'm not one to get people afraid, but sooner or later, they are talking about a recession. They've been talking about that for 3 years.
They have.
So far, we've been holding out pretty well. Rental markets always seem to do well no matter what. But what I can say is so far this year, with all the things we've been throwing at, or things that have been throwing at us, to have a 12% increase in market value is stunning to me. I'm very happy. It's still a great time to sell.
So yeah, basically that's what I was going to say. So in summary, if you've been thinking about it, you might really want to start being serious about it and get a hold of, as you said, your favorite realtor and very potentially Taylor here. That's great. So I did want to touch on a couple other quick things. We put your email, your website, your phone number, all that up in the comments. There was also a YouTube video that you've done at some point that you wanted to mention, and we were going to throw in the comments as well for people to find.
Yeah, so 2188 Studio, Ben and Lucas Daniels, they have a production company. They do a really great job. They do high-end professional videos. And nice. They did one for me. I have a vision, as a realtor, my job is to present things to the public, right? Mm-hmm. And have someone do it on you and you not have any control is really, it's pretty scary. but they nailed it. They just nailed it. But what I really liked about the video was they brought in past clients of mine and they interviewed my clients. And so Susie Weber's on this, and a few other Chelsea people are on it. And they have nothing to gain. They weren't paid. Right. They weren't, incentivized in any way.
Sure.
We're going to talk about Rick Taylor. Here's your opportunity, for better or for worse. You get to say what you want, and it's humbling. It's really humbling. And no matter how good you think you are, or no matter how good you try to be, you're only as good as your last sale.
Yeah.
And you can only get away with, and I don't want to sound crass, but you can only get away with doing people wrong so many times before it catches up with you.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
And so that's something I've always tried to avoid. So yeah, watch the video, because what it does, this video talks about how I started. It talks about how I prepare a home for sale, how I work with buyers, and it just really gives you an overall sense of
Sure.
how I do my business and why you might want to consider using it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, and I do know, I just saw it up here. We do have that up in the comments. And that brings me to something I wanted to mention before we go. We also posted a picture of something pretty awesome in your backyard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we have my daughter. I have a 9-year-old daughter, Ava. She's awesome. I'm 51. My wife is still 39, amazingly. But we have a 9-year-old daughter, Ava, and Ava's the best, right? Like, she loves to fly. I took her to the Ohio-Pennsylvania line last fall. She landed 3 9-pound or larger steelhead by her.
I remember that.
And just anyway, but she named our ducks in our pond Bill, as in a duck bill, which I was like, I can name him Bill. I mean, I can't believe how dumb I was. I didn't get it. But she's like, oh, because it's got a duck bill, Dad. It's Bill and Sally. And I'm like, oh, well. I just happened to have my phone in my hand, and it was on, and I looked up, and over my head, as I look up, I see a mature bald eagle swoop down and try to eat Bill. And I don't know how I got video going, and I caught this video of this bald eagle diving down trying to get our duck, and the duck got away, and it was on. So we got it on video, so you can watch the video, and it was pretty amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yep, and we put that up there as well. Well, thanks, Rick. I appreciate you coming by and talking to us and sharing some of your stories. And like I said, it sounds like we put a lot of stuff up there. So if people need more content or more information, it's there for them to find. Is there anything you wanted to add in closing?
Yeah, there is. There was an elderly couple that they were pretty afraid about putting their house on the market, and they were thinking of moving to the Plymouth area. And they decided against moving. They said, Rick, we had been out to Plymouth like 20 times. We want to be closer to our grandkids. But they said, we just love our house. We love our house here in Chelsea. We just don't want to move. And I had, like every reputable realtor, you do your best, and I gave them all. And they were so apologetic. And I said, I'm happy for you. I'm not here. I'm not a hard sell kind of realtor. Never have, never will be. And I actually really like that. And so if you ever want to call, I'm not going to try to get you to list your house. I'm not going to try to, ram something down your throat. I'm not going to try to force a sales contract or a listing contract. If you just want to get information and you don't want to be hard sold, give me a call. I'll leave it at that, and I'll give you the best information I can. And if we work together, great. And if not, it's okay. It really
That's great. Yeah. That's so important. I know people, that's just the oldest thing in the book, right? Is not wanting to talk to a used car salesman, if you will, who's just going to try to push you in that direction. And no pandering against our used car salesmen here.
Everyone needs a car.
Yeah, everybody needs a car. But yeah, all right. Well, thank you, Rick. And thank you, everybody, for watching today. And thank you to Shasta Grifka, as always, for sponsoring and facilitating with Grifka Marketing. And we'll be back next week with Jason and Susie from Jets, Wednesdays at 3 on the Chamber page. Thank you, Rick.
All right. Thank you, Terrace.
All right. Everyone have a great day. Bye.